So the big picture here for this math discussion is radical functions. The objective is solving quadratic radical functions. So one of the first things we want to know is how does solving radical functions differ from quadratic functions? For radical functions, we want to be careful about the squaring. For quadratic functions, we want to be careful about the square root. So keep these two things in mind when we're working on these problems. When would solving a radical equation lead to a quadratic equation? Well, we want to try to get the radicals alone when we're dealing with these radical slash quadratic equations. And once we get the radical alone and we square both of the sides, it'll cancel out the square roots, then we'll have the quadratic part of the function. Then, when we do that and we do the quadratic formula and all that stuff, we're going to want to check that the potential solutions are in the domain or the radicand. And if we check this and it's correct, then we'll know that the possible solutions that we get are actual solutions for the problem. So let's do an example. We got square root of 20x squared plus 15 minus square root of 37x equals 0. So the first step we want to do is cancel out the radicand. So we square both of the sides, cancel out the square root. So we got 20x squared plus 15 equals 37x. Then for step 2, we want to combine like terms. So we subtract 37x from both sides. We get 20x squared minus 37x plus 15 equals 0. And then we want to plug all this information into the quadratic formula. And you might recall that the quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So we got x equals negative b, which would be negative 37, positive 37, plus or minus square root b squared, negative 37 squared, minus 4, parentheses a times c, 20 times 15, divided by 2a, 20 times 2, which equals 40. We do that, we get 37 plus or minus 13 over 40. We calculate it even some more. On a calculator, we'll get the possible solutions as 5/4 or 3/5. Then we're going to want to check the solutions for step 4. And when we check in the solutions, remember you can do it in the domain or the radical. I'm going to do it in the radical. And when I do this, it should be greater than or equal to 0. So I'm going to take the radical part, 37x. I'm going to plug in 5/4 to the x. 37 times 5/4 is greater than or equal to 0. 37 times 3/5 is greater than or equal to 0. Therefore, both of my possible solutions are actual solutions for this problem.